Let's talk about composition, beginning with why we should bother with it. Composition is organizing the parts of your picture, obviously so they look pleasing to the audience, but really so that you can guide the audience's eye to the part of the picture that you think is the most important. You can also use composition to emphasize different elements in the picture and to give the picture a different appearance, to stretch it out with a wide-angle lens or maybe squeeze it all together with a telephoto lens. The first trick in getting good compositions is don't look at the world you're shooting, look at the little picture you're seeing on your external viewfinder or through the lens on your internal viewfinder. Think of yourself as making a picture on a flat plane, just like a painting. That way, you will see when a lamppost is growing out of somebody's head that looks perfectly natural in the real world but looks very peculiar on tape. There are many kinds of composition and many ways to go about making compositions, but perhaps the easiest way of all is the good old rule of thirds. To use the rule of thirds, just imagine a tic-tac-toe grid superimposed over the viewfinder. Then line up your composition so that the important elements align more or less with the lines on the grid, and the most important elements of all are where the grid lines cross. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to fill up your entire composition along a tic-tac-toe grid. Some very good compositions will use only one axis, others may use two. Some may use three or more. And don't forget that this isn't the only way. There are many good compositions that don't use this system at all. But when you're working fast and trying to get the best looking shot you can, imagining that grid is a great help. Some people even cut a piece of plastic to make a mask over the external viewfinder and draw the grid lines on it. The rule of thirds is very useful in framing people. Your normal instinct is to put people's eyes right in the middle of the picture because that's the way you look at people in real life. But on video, that doesn't look good. As a general rule, you shouldn't put people's eyes lower than the top horizontal line of that tic-tac-toe grid. This works all the way from tight close-up out to perhaps three-quarter shot. Obviously, when you get to a full shot or a long shot or very wide shots, the rule isn't practical anymore. But when you're working close, keep people's eyes at or above the top third of the frame. Another point on this, for some reason that no one understands, you can cut someone's forehead off, but you can't cut off somebody's chin. If somebody's chin is wagging in and out of the frame, it's very distracting and it doesn't look good. When you're composing people, it's also good to keep what's called eye room or look room in mind. This means you don't center the head right in the center of the frame. Instead, you offset it to the side opposite the direction that the person is looking. This prevents the person from seeming to crowd the frame claustrophobically. This also works when people are moving. You want to lead them with the camera, so there's more room in front of them than behind them. This also works with animals, vehicles, or any other moving subject. When all's said and done, there are only two important things to remember about composition. First, it's not just a nice to have. It helps organize your images and emphasize what's important in them. And secondly, don't worry about it too much. If you put into practice just some of the things we've talked about today, you can see a dramatic improvement in your images with very little effort.
No one wants their footage to look like it's home video, even if you're shooting home video. That means that those shaky, amateur-looking shots, those aren't an option for you. If you want your stuff to look like television, if you want your footage to look more professional, you need to learn to stand properly and to hold the camera well so that you can make smooth moves and record steady shots. It all starts with the way you position your feet. Stand with your feet about shoulders width apart and bend your knees a little. This creates a shock absorber that helps your body absorb some of the shock when you're making a move. Helps you stand steady. When you lock your knees and put your feet together, you've got an unstable, wobbly platform, and it makes it hard to shoot a good shot. With your feet in the right position and your knees bent slightly, let's move up and concentrate on your elbows. When your elbow is out to the side, your camcorder naturally wants to tip over sideways, and you get shots that look like your subjects are sliding out of the frame. If you tuck your elbow in straight under your body and bring it in towards your body, you create a nice steady platform. It's a lot like a tripod. And your lens naturally sits level, parallel to the ground. Use your free hand to support the camcorder. You can hold your viewfinder or get it in next to the body. This brings in some extra stability and keeps your wrist nice and solid so that you can get those smooth, steady shots that you want. Chances are your camcorder has an image stabilizer built into it. They really come in two flavors, electronic and optical. An electronic image stabilization system compensates for minor shakes in your hand by sampling the image larger than you really need. It blows the picture up larger than the view screen, and as you make minor movements, it compensates by showing different parts of the image that you might not see otherwise. Optical image stabilization systems have a floating mechanism in the lens. The elements in the lens actually float and move to compensate for minor shake. You can find shooting platforms pretty much anywhere. Rest your elbows on an ordinary park bench to stabilize your shot, or set your camera right down on the seat for a rock-solid shooting platform. But don't stop there. You can use a brick wall, a picnic table, even the hood of your car. Any platform that you can lean on or put your camera on is fair game to stabilize your shots. But sometimes you're going to want to move the camera. You should know about 3 basic moves. Those are the pan, the tilt, and the zoom. A pan is a movement of the camera from side to side, left to right, or right to left. A tilt is where you move the camera from down to up, or up to down, and a zoom is where you change your shot from wide angle to telephoto, or telephoto back to wide angle. When you make a pan, don't just rotate the camera in your wrist. This gives away the fact that you're shooting with a small camcorder. If you rotate with your entire body, it creates the illusion that you're shooting with a larger camera and makes your shots look more professional. When you perform a pan, it's best to point your feet in the direction that you'd like to end the shot. Frame your composition of your first part of the move, and then let your body turn back so that you're ending up in a relaxed position. If you try to pan away from your body, you wind up twisted up and it's hard to stay steady. When it comes to camera moves like pans, tilts, and zooms, oftentimes less is more. Too much camera movement can leave the viewer seasick, and your videos won't look very good. Save those camera moves and use them when you have a special purpose to call attention to a particular shot.